Commander Crixenall sat in the command chair of his damaged dreadnought as the surviving Zephyrian ships limped away from the New Geneva system. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed by a single human vessel in less than 30 minutes. The implications were staggering and would shake the Confederation to its core. Communications officer, send an emergency message to High Command, Crixenall ordered. Priority Alpha classification. The humans possess military technology far beyond our intelligence estimates. The communications officer worked nervously at his station. Sir, what should I report about War Commander? Vexthul. Crixenall closed his eyes, remembering the moment when human kinetic weapons had punched through the flagship's shields like they were made of paper. Vexthul had died instantly when the tungsten penetrator vaporized the bridge. Report that the War Commander died in combat against an unexpectedly powerful enemy force. In the UES Titan's massive bridge, Captain Roy Mitchell watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. His crew maintained their stations, but he could feel the excitement and pride radiating from everyone present. They had waited 25 years for this moment and performed flawlessly when called upon. Damage report, Commander Price. Mitchell requested from his weapons officer. Commander Helen Price studied her tactical displays with satisfaction. No damage to report, sir. Shields at 98%. All weapon systems fully operational. The enemy never came close to threatening us. Mitchell nodded as he considered their next actions. The immediate threat was over, but this was just the beginning. Word would spread quickly through alien space that humanity possessed advanced military capabilities. Other species would want to test human resolve or seek alliance against the Confederation. Communications, patch me through to Admiral Harrison on Earth, Mitchell ordered. The connection took several minutes to establish through the quantum communication array. Admiral Kate Harrison appeared on the main screen looking tired but relieved. Behind her in Earth Defense Headquarters, staff officers monitored displays showing the battle's outcome. Captain Mitchell, report, Harrison said simply. Mission accomplished, Admiral. The Zephyrian fleet has been defeated with minimal human casualties. 6 enemy dreadnoughts destroyed, 6 more retreating. We estimate they will reach Confederation space in approximately 2 weeks. Harrison smiled for the first time since receiving news of the alien contact. Outstanding work, Captain. What are your recommendations for follow-up actions? Mitchell considered the strategic situation carefully. The aliens will report back about our capabilities, which should discourage further attacks. However, we need to be prepared for diplomatic contact. Other species will want to negotiate rather than fight once they learn about the Titan. Agreed. Maintain position in the outer system until further orders. We are preparing a proper first contact delegation to establish formal relations with whatever alien governments are willing to talk. The transmission ended, and Mitchell turned to address his crew. 10,000 men and women had spent years training for this mission, living in complete secrecy, while the rest of humanity remained unaware of their existence. Now they could finally reveal themselves as defenders of Earth. All hands, this is the captain, Mitchell announced over the ship's communication system. Today we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be intimidated by those who mistake our caution for weakness. You have served with honor and distinction in defense of our species. Cheers echoed through the Titan's corridors as crew members celebrated their victory. In the engineering sections, massive fusion reactors continued their steady operation, providing power for the great ship. In the armories, technicians began reloading weapon systems, preparing for whatever came next. On Earth, the news of humanity's victory spread quickly through government and military channels. Admiral Harrison briefed world leaders about the battle and the existence of the UES Titan. After the initial shock, most were amazed that such a project could be kept secret for so long. President Maria Santos of the United Earth Government addressed the global population from her office in Geneva. Citizens of Earth, I can now reveal that for 25 years our military has been preparing for the possibility of hostile alien contact. The UES Titan represents the finest achievement of human engineering and has successfully defended our colonies against attack. The revelation caused excitement and controversy around the world. Some people were angry about the secrecy, while others praised the foresight of military planners. But everyone agreed that humanity had passed its first major test as a spacefaring civilization. Captain Jake Morrison brought his damaged frigate back to Titan Station for repairs. His crew had fought bravely against impossible odds and deserved recognition for their courage. The USS Liberty would be rebuilt and returned to service as part of humanity's expanded fleet. Captain Morrison report to Admiral Clark's office immediately upon docking. Came the message from Station Control. Morrison found Admiral Robert Clark waiting with several other senior officers and a woman in civilian clothes he did not recognize. She introduced herself as Director Sarah Walsh from Earth Intelligence Services. Captain, your encounter with the Zephyrians provided valuable intelligence about their capabilities and intentions, Walsh explained. We need detailed debriefings from you and your crew about everything you observed. Morrison spent the next several hours describing the alien ships, their technology, and their commander's personality. Every detail would help human analysts prepare for future contact with the Confederation or other alien species. The Zephyrian war commander seemed genuinely surprised by our resistance, Morrison reported. He expected easy conquest based on scanning our scout ships. Their intelligence about human capabilities was clearly incomplete. Admiral Clark made notes as Morrison spoke. That suggests they have not been observing us for very long. The attack may have been opportunistic rather than the result of extended reconnaissance. Meanwhile, in Zephyrian space, the surviving fleet ships reached the Confederation capital, world of Zephyr Prime. Commander Crixenall was immediately summoned before the High Council to explain the disaster at New Geneva. The council chamber was a vast hall filled with representatives from dozens of conquered worlds. Supreme Chancellor Vorthak sat on the central throne as Crixenall approached. The Chancellor was ancient even by Zephyrian standards, having ruled the Confederation for over 3 centuries. His scaled hide was scarred from countless battles, and his eyes glowed with accumulated wisdom. Commander, Crixenall explained how a single human ship destroyed half of our finest fleet, the Chancellor demanded. Crixenall had prepared for this moment during the journey home. Supreme Chancellor, the humans have been concealing their true military capabilities. The ship that destroyed our fleet was larger and more powerful than anything in our databases. You claim that primitive humans with crude technology defeated our energy weapons and plasma shields. Witnessed it personally, Chancellor. Their kinetic weapons penetrated our defenses like they did not exist. Their shields absorbed our concentrated fire without damage. Most disturbing, they demonstrated a gravity-based weapon that can create artificial singularities. Murmurs of concern rippled through the council chamber. Gravity weapons were theoretical even to the advanced Confederation. If humans possessed such technology, they were far from primitive. Chancellor Vorthak considered the implications carefully. The Confederation had built its empire by conquering weaker species through technological superiority. If humans could match or exceed their capabilities, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift. What are your recommendations, Commander? The Chancellor asked. We should seek diplomatic contact immediately, Crixenall replied. The humans showed restraint by allowing survivors to escape. They could have destroyed our entire fleet but chose not to. This suggests they prefer negotiation to unnecessary destruction. The Chancellor nodded slowly. War with an equally advanced species would be costly even if victory were possible. Better to establish trade relations and mutual defense agreements. Prepare a diplomatic mission to the human worlds. We will treat with them as equals rather than subjects. Back in the Sol system, Captain Mitchell received new orders from Earth Command. The UES Titan would remain on patrol in the outer system, but its existence would no longer be secret. Humanity needed to show strength to discourage other aggressive species, while demonstrating peaceful intentions to potential allies. Communications prepare a message for broadcast on all frequencies, Mitchell ordered. This is Captain Roy Mitchell of the United Earthship Titan, to any alien civilizations receiving this transmission. Humanity seeks peaceful contact and mutual cooperation with all intelligent species. However, we will defend ourselves and our colonies against any aggression with whatever force proves necessary. The message was transmitted throughout the local galaxy region using powerful communication arrays. Within weeks, it would reach dozens of alien civilizations, informing them that humanity was no longer hiding its capabilities. Governor Amy Richardson stood in her rebuilt command center on New Geneva watching construction. Crews repair the orbital platforms damaged in the battle. The UES Titan hung in space above the planet like a guardian angel, ready to defend against any future threats. The massive shape emerged from the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, moving at impossible speed for something so large. Captain Morrison stared at his sensor displays, trying to understand what he was seeing. The contact was huge beyond anything in human military records, but it was definitely one of their ships. Range and bearing, Danny. Morrison called to his communications officer. Lieutenant Martinez worked frantically at his controls. Sir, the object is 15 kilometers long and 8 kilometers wide. Mass readings are off the charts. I have never seen anything like this. On the Zephyrian flagship, Commander Crixenol studied his sensor data with growing alarm. The approaching vessel dwarfed even their largest dreadnought. Its energy signature suggested power generation capabilities that seemed impossible. War Commander, this cannot be accurate, Crixenol reported. No single ship could be this massive. The power requirements alone would be enormous. War Commander Vex Thule looked at the sensor readings and felt doubt creeping into his mind. The human vessel was larger than some space stations. How had his intelligence services missed something this significant during their reconnaissance? Continue scanning, he ordered. Determine its weapon capabilities and defensive systems. As the unknown ship approached the New Geneva system, its details became visible through optical sensors. The hull was dark gray metal covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. Massive engine nozzles glowed blue-white with contained fusion reactions. Gun turrets the size of buildings dotted the surface like mechanical mountains. On the bridge of the UES Titan, Captain Roy Mitchell stood before the main viewing screen watching the Zephyrian fleet ahead. He had commanded warships for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. His vessel represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, built in secret over 2 decades. Tactical report, Commander Price, Mitchell said to his weapons officer. Commander Helen Price studied her displays showing the alien formation. 12 enemy dreadnoughts, sir. They have superior shields and energy weapons, but their positioning shows overconfidence. They are not expecting serious resistance? Mitchell nodded as he examined the tactical situation. The Zephyrians had surrounded New Geneva with their ships ready to bombard the planet. Captain Morrison's small fleet was badly damaged and retreating. Civilian transport ships fled the system carrying refugees. Communications sent a message to Captain Morrison. Mitchell ordered, "Tell him to pull back to safe distance. We will handle the alien fleet." Lieutenant Colonel Ben Adams worked at the communication station. Message sent, sir. Captain Morrison acknowledges and is withdrawing his remaining ships. The UES Titan continued its approach toward the Zephyrian fleet. Its massive bulk seemed to distort space around it as gravitational fields from its enormous mass affected nearby objects. Asteroid debris drifted toward the ship drawn by its powerful attraction. War Commander Vex Thule opened a communication channel to the approaching human vessel. His voice carried the same contempt he had shown for the smaller ships. "Unknown human vessel, you will halt immediately and surrender. The Confederation claims this system by right of conquest." Captain Mitchell activated his reply. "This is Captain Roy Mitchell of the United Earthship Titan. You are ordered to withdraw from this system immediately. Your attack on civilian populations violates the laws of war." Laughter echoed through the communication system. "The Titan, what manner of joke is this? Humans build crude metal boxes, not warships worthy of such names. You mocked our scouts and called them toys." Mitchell replied calmly. "Perhaps you should reconsider your assumptions about human capabilities." The UES Titan entered weapon range of the Zephyrian fleet, and Mitchell could see the alien ships clearly. They were indeed beautiful vessels with their smooth curves and glowing hulls. But beauty meant nothing in combat against superior firepower and armor. Vex Thule studied the massive human ship through his optical sensors. The vessel was enormous, but it still used the same primitive technology as the smaller human ships. Kinetic weapons, chemical propulsion, basic electronics. Size alone could not overcome technological superiority. "You will witness the destruction of your colony's human captain," Vex Thule announced. "Then your oversized cargo hauler will join them in oblivion." The war commander gave orders to his fleet. "All ships target the human vessel. Concentrated plasma barrage. Show them the futility of opposing the Confederation." 12. Zephyrian dreadnoughts turned their weapons toward the UES Titan. Hundreds of plasma cannons, charged with deadly energy, while torpedo tubes, loaded with antimatter warheads. The alien ships had destroyed entire planetary defense fleets with such firepower. Captain Mitchell watched the enemy preparations with professional interest. "Raise shields, Commander Price. All weapon systems to full power." The Titan's defensive barriers activated in layers around the massive hull. Energy fields powerful enough to deflect asteroid impacts surrounded the ship. Point defense systems came online, ready to intercept incoming missiles and torpedoes. "Enemy ships opening fire, sir." Price reported. The Zephyrian fleet unleashed coordinated destruction against the human battleship. Streams of blue plasma erupted from hundreds of gun ports, while antimatter torpedoes streaked through space. The barrage was intense enough to vaporize a small moon. The alien weapons struck the Titan's shields in brilliant explosions that lit up the entire system. Energy discharges cascaded across the defensive barriers as plasma tried to burn through to the ship's hull. The antimatter torpedoes detonated against the shields, creating miniature stars. But when the light faded, the UES Titan remained undamaged. Its shields had absorbed the massive barrage without apparent strain. The great ship continued its steady approach toward the alien fleet. Commander Crixnall stared at his sensor readings in shock. War Commander, their shields are still at full strength. Our weapons had no effect whatsoever. Vex Thule felt genuine fear for the first time in decades of conquest. No enemy had ever withstood concentrated fire from 12 dreadnoughts. The human ship's defenses were far beyond anything the Confederation had encountered. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is primitive. Chemical rockets and kinetic weapons. How can their shields be so powerful? Captain Mitchell allowed himself a small smile as he watched the alien fleet's confusion. The Titan had been designed specifically to fight technologically superior enemies. Its defenses could withstand anything short of a direct stellar explosion. Return fire, Commander Price, Mitchell ordered calmly. Show them what human engineering can accomplish. The UES Titan's weapon systems came alive with deadly purpose. Railgun turrets the size of skyscrapers rotated to target the alien ships. Missile pods containing thousands of warheads opened like mechanical flowers. Energy weapons that drew power directly from the ship's fusion cores began to charge. What followed redefined the Zephyrian understanding of human capabilities. The Titan did not simply have superior firepower. It represented a completely different philosophy of warfare. Where the aliens favored elegant energy weapons, humans had perfected the art of kinetic destruction. The first railgun salvo launched projectiles at 30% of light speed. The tungsten penetrators struck 3 Zephyrian dreadnoughts simultaneously. The kinetic energy was so immense it overwhelmed their shields instantly and punched clean through their hulls. Commander Crixnall watched in horror as his ships exploded around him. War Commander, we are taking massive casualties. Their weapons are penetrating our shields like they do not exist. Before Vex Thule could respond, missile swarms from the Titan reached the alien fleet. Thousands of self-guided warheads maneuvered around desperate point defense fire. The missiles carried conventional explosives, but their combined impact was devastating. 2 more Zephyrian ships disappeared in balls of fire as human weapons found their marks. The remaining vessels tried to maneuver, but the Titan's targeting systems tracked them effortlessly. Advanced computers calculated firing solutions faster than alien pilots could react. All ships withdraw immediately, Vex Thule ordered desperately. Emergency jump to hyperspace. But the UES Titan was not finished demonstrating human military technology. Its most powerful weapon system came online with a deep harmonic vibration that shook space itself. The gravity lance could create artificial singularities and direct them at enemy targets. Captain Mitchell studied the fleeing alien ships through his tactical display. 6 Zephyrian dreadnoughts remained functional, but they were trying to escape rather than continue fighting. He could destroy them all, but perhaps it was better to let some survive. Fire a warning shot. Commander Price, let them see what our main weapon can do. The gravity lance, activated with a sound like reality tearing apart. A microscopic black hole formed in space and streaked toward an empty region near the alien fleet. When it detonated, the explosion was visible from orbit around New Geneva. The artificial singularity consumed everything within 1,000 kilometers. Asteroids, debris, and empty space itself disappeared into the gravitational anomaly. The demonstration lasted only seconds, but its message was clear. Commander Crixnall now commanded what remained of the Zephyrian fleet, as Vex Thule's flagship had been destroyed in the first exchange. The 72-hour deadline passed with no response from Earth. War Commander Vex Thule stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the human colonies through the main display. The nearest target was New Geneva, a mining world with 4 million inhabitants. Perfect for demonstrating Confederation power. The humans show their weakness by ignoring our generous offer, Vex Thule announced to his crew. Now they will learn what happens when primitive species challenge the Confederation. Commander Crixnall studied the tactical displays showing human defensive positions around New Geneva. A few orbital platforms and patrol ships guarded the planet. Nothing that could threaten a Zephyrian dreadnought. "War Commander, shall we demand surrender first?" "No," Vexthul replied with cold satisfaction. They had their chance for peaceful submission. Now we demonstrate why hundreds of worlds kneel before us. The Zephyrian fleet moved toward New Geneva in perfect formation. 12 massive vessels gliding through space like predators approaching helpless prey. Their hulls gleamed with blue energy, and weapon ports began to glow with charging plasma. On New Geneva, Governor Amy Richardson coordinated evacuation efforts from the Colonial Administration Center. Transport ships loaded civilians at spaceports across the planet, while defense forces prepared for battle. Everyone knew the aliens were coming, but few believed they could survive the attack. "How many people have we evacuated?" Richardson asked her aide, Colonel Jack Turner. 2 million so far, Governor, but we need more time. The transport capacity is not enough for everyone." Richardson looked at the orbital defense monitor showing the approaching alien fleet. The Zephyrian ships were enormous compared to anything in human space. Their energy signatures were off the charts and growing stronger as they closed the distance. "Tell the defense coordinator to buy us every minute possible," she ordered. "Every ship, every platform, every gun. Make them fight for it." In space above New Geneva, Captain Morrison's small fleet took position near the main orbital platform. The USS Liberty had been joined by 6 other frigates and 2 destroyers. Not much against 12 alien dreadnoughts, but Morrison was determined to make them pay for every meter. Commander Lisa Bennett worked at her tactical station, preparing firing solutions and defensive patterns. "Captain, their lead ships will be in weapon range in 20 minutes. We should engage at maximum distance." Morrison studied the enemy formation on his screen. The Zephyrian ships moved with confidence, making no effort to avoid human weapons. They clearly expected this to be easy. "All ships prepare to engage. Target the lead vessel. Concentrated fire." Lieutenant Amy Richardson armed the Liberty's main weapons. The frigate carried railguns and missile launchers designed for fighting other human ships. Against alien energy shields, they might be useless, but they had to try. "Sir, incoming transmission from the alien commander." Lieutenant Danny Martinez reported from communications. "Put it on speaker, Danny." War Commander Vexthul's harsh voice filled the bridge. "Human Captain, your pathetic fleet cannot stop us. Withdraw now, and we will allow you to live as servants of the Confederation." Morrison activated his reply channel. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. You are attacking an innocent civilian population. Withdraw from this system or face the consequences." Laughter echoed through the communications system. "Consequences? What consequences can insects threaten giants? Your tiny ships will be destroyed in minutes." The first Zephyrian dreadnought entered weapon range and opened fire immediately. Streams of blue plasma erupted from dozens of gun ports along its hull. The energy beams lanced through space toward the human defensive line with deadly accuracy. Morrison gripped his command chair as the first volley struck the orbital platform. The massive structure shuddered under the impact, but its shields held for a few seconds. Then the plasma ate through the defensive barriers and began melting the platform's armor. "Return fire all ships," Morrison ordered. The human fleet unleashed everything they had. Railgun projectiles streaked toward the alien vessels at tremendous velocity, while missiles followed behind in deadly swarms. The weapons struck the Zephyrian shields in brilliant explosions that lit up the darkness of space. But when the light faded, the alien ships remained undamaged. Their energy barriers absorbed the kinetic impacts with ease. Not even scratches marked their gleaming hulls. "No effect, Captain," Bennett reported grimly. "Their shields are completely stopping our weapons." More plasma beams swept across the human formation. The frigate USS Courage exploded in a ball of fire as alien energy tore through its hull. The destroyer USS Valor lost its forward section, but continued fighting on emergency power. Morrison realized they were facing impossible odds. The human weapons could not penetrate Zephyrian defenses, while alien plasma cut through his ships like paper, but he had to buy time for the civilian evacuation. "Evasive maneuvers all ships," he ordered. "Use the asteroid field for cover. Hit-and-run tactics." The surviving human vessels scattered among the rocky debris surrounding New Geneva. They darted between asteroids using the cover to launch surprise attacks on the alien fleet. The tactics slowed the Zephyrian advance but could not stop it. War Commander Vexthul watched the human ships flee with amusement. "Look how they scurry like rodents among the rocks. Their weapons cannot harm us, but they continue this hopeless battle." Commander Crixnall monitored the engagement from his position. The humans show courage, War Commander. Perhaps we should respect that quality. Courage without power is meaningless, Vexthul replied. Destroy the remaining ships. I tire of this game. The Zephyrian dreadnoughts moved into the asteroid field, firing plasma volleys that vaporized entire rocks. The human ships had nowhere to hide as alien weapons turned their cover into glowing gas and debris. The USS Liberty took a glancing hit that knocked out her main engines. Morrison felt the deck shake under his feet as explosions echoed through the ship's corridors. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in red as damage reports flooded in. Engineering reports main power offline, Chief Engineer Pete Collins called from his station. We are running on backup systems only. Another frigate, the USS Defiant, suffered a direct hit that split her hull in half. Morrison watched in horror as the ship's crew compartments vented atmosphere into space. Dozens of good people died in seconds when alien plasma found its mark. Captain, we cannot continue this fight, Bennett said urgently. We have lost half our ships and the others are badly damaged. Morrison knew she was right, but he hated to retreat again. The civilian evacuation was not complete and every minute counted. Still, his remaining ships would be destroyed if they stayed much longer. All ships withdraw to minimum safe distance, he ordered reluctantly. Continue harassing fire, but do not engage directly. The surviving human vessels pulled back from the asteroid field, while the Zephyrian fleet advanced toward New Geneva. Civilian transport ships accelerated away from the planet carrying as many people as possible, but millions remained on the surface with no hope of escape. War Commander Vexthul positioned his flagship in orbit above the planet's main city. The massive vessel blocked out the sun, casting shadows across the colonial capital. Blue energy began building in the ship's main weapon arrays. Citizens of New Geneva, Vexthul broadcast to the planet below. Your fleet has been defeated and your defenses destroyed. You will surrender unconditionally or face total annihilation. Governor Richardson stood in her command center looking up at the alien dreadnought through the transparent ceiling. The Zephyrian ship was beautiful in a terrible way with its smooth curves and glowing hull, but she knew it carried enough firepower to glass the entire planet. This is Governor Amy Richardson. We have civilians and children here, non-combatants who pose no threat to your forces. All humans are enemies of the Confederation, came the cold reply. You have 30 minutes to surrender your world. After that, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. Morrison listened to the exchange from his damaged ship, feeling helpless rage. The aliens were about to destroy an entire planet and he could do nothing to stop them. His weapons were useless against their technology and his fleet was barely functional. But as the minutes ticked by, something unexpected happened. Long-range sensors detected movement in the outer system. Something large was approaching from the direction of Neptune, moving faster than any human ship should be able to travel. Lieutenant Martinez looked up from his communications station with surprise. Captain, I am receiving a transmission on an emergency military frequency. Ultra-high encryption. What does it say, Danny? Martinez worked to decode the message as alien plasma continued to build in the orbital dreadnought's weapons. Finally, the signal cleared and a calm voice spoke through the bridge speakers. This is UES Titan to all human forces. Admiral Harrison sends her regards. We are inbound to your location. Hold your positions and prepare for fleet engagement. Morrison stared at his communications officer. UES Titan. I have never heard of that vessel. Sir, the message includes authentication codes I have never seen before. This is coming from someone with the highest possible clearance level. On his flagship, Vexthul was also receiving reports of the approaching contact. His sensor officers could not identify the massive energy signature moving toward them through the dark of space. The USS Liberty and her escort ships reached Titan Station 18 hours after their encounter with the Zephyrian fleet. The massive space station orbited Saturn's largest moon, serving as humanity's forward military outpost in the outer system. Captain Morrison felt some relief as they docked, but he knew the real danger was just beginning. Admiral Kate Harrison received Morrison's priority transmission at Earth Defense Headquarters in Geneva. She sat in her office reading the reports and watching the sensor recordings. The alien ships were indeed massive, and their technology seemed far advanced. Harrison had commanded Earth's defenses for 12 years, but she had never faced anything like this threat. Get me the Joint Chiefs immediately, Harrison ordered her aide, Colonel Ben Murphy. Emergency session in the war room. Highest security clearance only. Within 2 hours, the most senior military officers from all Earth nations gathered in the underground command center. General Frank Cooper from North America, General Liu, Wei from Asia, General Carlos Rodriguez from South America, and others studied the alien data with growing concern. "These Zephyrian ships outgun anything in our fleet," reported General Cooper as he examined the tactical analysis. "Their energy weapons could cut through our best armor like paper. Their shields deflected our scanner beams without any effort." Admiral Harrison stood at the head of the conference table looking at each officer. "The aliens have given us 72 hours to surrender our outer colonies. When we refuse, they will attack. Our regular fleet cannot stop them." "What about the Mars defense platform?" asked General Rodriguez. "The orbital weapon satellites around Jupiter?" "Not enough," Harrison replied. "These aliens have conquered hundreds of worlds. They know how to deal with fixed defenses. We need something they do not expect." The room became quiet as the officers considered their options. Earth had a strong military, but it was designed to fight other humans, not advanced aliens. The Zephyrian ships used completely different technology and tactics. Harrison walked to a secure communication terminal in the corner of the room. She entered her personal authorization codes and opened a classified file that only 5 people on Earth could access. "There is one option, Project Deep Strike." The other officers looked confused. Most had never heard of Deep Strike. It was buried so deep in military secrets that even generals did not know about it. Harrison's fingers moved over the controls, bringing up technical specifications and construction reports. 25 years ago, we detected unusual signals from deep space," Harrison explained. "Radio transmissions that did not come from any human source. We realized other intelligent species existed and some might be hostile. Images appeared on the main screen, showing massive construction projects in the outer solar system, shipyards hidden behind Neptune and Pluto, industrial facilities carved into asteroids, all working on a single enormous project. We began building a weapon," Harrison continued. "Not just a ship, but a mobile weapons platform capable of fighting enemies with superior technology. We called it the UES Titan." General Cooper stared at the construction images. "Admiral, I have never seen these reports. How was this kept secret from the Joint Chiefs?" "Only the highest levels knew," Harrison replied. "The President, the Secretary General, myself, and 2 others. We hoped we would never need to use it. But the Titan was designed specifically for this situation. The technical specifications showed a vessel unlike anything in human military history. The UES Titan was not just large, it was massive beyond comprehension. Its hull measured 15 kilometers long and 8 kilometers wide. Multiple reactor cores provided enough power to supply an entire city. Thousands of weapon systems covered its armored surface. The construction was automated using robotic factories," Harrison explained. "No human workers meant no security leaks. The Titan has been completed for 5 years, but it remains hidden in the Kuiper Belt." Meanwhile, on the Zephyrian flagship, Void Render War Commander Vex Thule celebrated with his senior officers. The bridge was filled with blue light and the air hummed with energy from the ship's advanced systems. Commander Crixenall stood beside the command chair reviewing tactical data. "The humans flee like scared animals," Vex Thule said with satisfaction. "Their ships are crude metal boxes with primitive chemical rockets. How did such a weak species ever leave their homeworld?" Crixenall studied the sensor recordings from their encounter. Something troubled him about the human response. "War Commander, perhaps we should be more cautious. The humans seem too calm for a species facing their first alien contact." Vex Thule waved away the concern. "You worry too much, old friend. We scanned their ships completely. Kinetic weapons, chemical propulsion, basic electronics. They are centuries behind our technology." The Zephyrian fleet moved slowly through the outer system, giving the humans time to consider surrender. Vex Thule wanted them to understand their hopeless situation. Fear would make the conquest easier and prevent unnecessary destruction of useful worlds. "Prepare the invasion fleet," Vex Thule ordered. "When the time limit expires, we will demonstrate Confederation power. The human colonies will make excellent bases for expansion into this region." On Titan Station, Captain Morrison met with the station commander, Admiral Robert Clark. They studied star charts and discussed defense options while Morrison's crew repaired damage from their encounter with the aliens. The station's workshops buzzed with activity as technicians upgraded weapons and shields. "We cannot evacuate all the outer colonies in time," Clark said grimly. 17 million civilians in the Neptune system alone. The transport ships would take weeks to move them all. Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. They want us to run Admiral. Show weakness and fear. But what if we had something they did not expect? Like what, Captain? Our best battleships are still smaller than their escort vessels. Morrison was about to reply when an encrypted message arrived on Clark's personal communication system. The Admiral read it quickly and his expression changed from worry to surprise. Captain Morrison, report to Docking Bay 7 immediately. You have new orders from Earth Command. Morrison left the meeting confused but hopeful. At the docking bay, he found a small unmarked shuttle waiting. The pilot was a young woman in civilian clothes who did not give her name or rank. She only said they were going to Neptune. The shuttle journey took 6 hours traveling at maximum speed through the outer system. Morrison tried to ask questions, but the pilot remained silent. When they reached Neptune orbit, Morrison saw something that made him forget about the alien threat for a moment. A massive construction facility floated in space, hidden behind the planet's largest moon. Automated factories and assembly platforms stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Robot ships moved between the structures carrying materials and components. Welcome to Neptune Base, the pilot said finally. This facility does not officially exist, Captain. What you see here must never be discussed with anyone. The shuttle docked with a command station at the center of the complex. Morrison was escorted through corridors filled with humming machinery and blinking displays. Everything looked new and advanced, but also somehow different from standard human technology. In the main control room, Morrison met Chief
Engineer Patricia Wells and Operations Director Commander Steve
Walsh. They stood before a massive viewing window that looked out over the construction facility. But Morrison's attention was drawn to what lay beyond the factories. A ship floated in the darkness of space. No, that was wrong, Morrison realized. It was not a ship, it was a mobile city. The vessel was so large it seemed to bend space around itself. Thousands of lights covered its hull and weapon ports dotted its surface like stars. Captain Morrison, meet the UES Titan, Wells said with pride. Humanity's answer to any threat from the stars. Morrison stared at the enormous battleship, unable to speak. After seeing the alien vessels, he had thought humanity was helpless. But the Titan was larger than anything the Zephyrians had shown. Its weapon systems looked advanced and powerful. How is this possible? Morrison finally asked. When was this built? Construction began 25 years ago, Walsh replied. Automated systems working around the clock. We have been preparing for this day, hoping it would never come. Wells activated a communication panel and spoke into it clearly. UES Titan, this is Neptune Base. Authorization code Omega 77. Begin startup sequence immediately. In the darkness of space, the massive battleship began to glow as its systems came online. Reactor cores ignited deep within its hull, weapon systems powered up and sensor arrays extended. The Titan was waking up after years of sleep. The crew is already aboard, Wells continued. 10,000 of our best people selected and trained in complete secrecy. They have been waiting for orders. Morrison watched the great ship prepare for action. The Zephyrians had mocked humanity's weak fleet. They thought humans were primitive and helpless. Soon they would learn how wrong they were. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. The ship moved slowly through the dark space at the edge of the Kepler system. 3 other human ships flew nearby in a loose formation. The USS Freedom and USS Justice were both frigates like his own ship. The supply vessel USS Horizon carried food and equipment for their long patrol. Morrison had been in space for 15 years, but he still loved seeing the stars. Today felt different, though. The deep space sensors had picked up something strange 3 hours ago. Large objects moving in formation near the asteroid belt. Objects too big to be rocks and too regular to be natural. Captain, we are getting clear readings now, said Commander Lisa Bennett from her station. She was his tactical officer, and one of the best in the fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she studied the sensor data. 12 large vessels, sir. They are huge. Each one is at least 5 times bigger than our ships. Morrison walked over to look at her screen. The objects were definitely ships, but unlike anything humans had ever built. They were smooth and curved with no hard edges. Soft blue light seemed to glow from their hulls. Any response to our signals, Lisa? Nothing, sir. They are not answering our communications, Bennett replied. She looked worried as she watched the alien ships. Captain, they are changing course. Moving toward us. The bridge became quiet as everyone focused on their screens. Lieutenant Danny Martinez sat at the communications station trying different frequencies. Chief Engineer Pete Collins monitored the engines from his post. Weapons Officer Lieutenant Amy Richardson kept her hands ready over the fire controls. Morrison felt his heart beat faster as the alien ships grew larger on the screen. This was first contact with another intelligent species. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. He just hoped it would go well. The alien ships moved in perfect formation without any visible effort. They seemed to glide through space like fish swimming through water. As they got closer, Morrison could see details on their hulls. Strange symbols and patterns covered their surfaces. Weapon ports were visible along their sides. "Sir, they are scanning us," Bennett reported.
Very powerful scans.
"They are looking at everything. Our weapons, our engines, our crew quarters, everything." "Keep trying to contact them, Danny," Morrison ordered. "Send the first contact protocols. Let them know we come in peace." Martinez worked at his station, sending various signals and messages. The alien ships continued to approach. When they were only a few thousand kilometers away, they suddenly stopped. The lead ship was massive. It could have carried Morrison's entire fleet inside its cargo bays. Then something unexpected happened. A sound came over the communication system. It was not words or music or any normal signal. It was laughter, loud mocking laughter that filled the bridge of the Liberty. "They are laughing at us," Martinez said with surprise. "The signal is coming from all their ships." The laughter continued for several minutes. Then it stopped and a voice spoke in broken English. The words were harsh and full of contempt. "Tiny metal boxes. This is humanity's great fleet. Your species sends toys to greet the mighty Confederation." Morrison stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Liberty. We represent humanity and we come in peace. We wish to establish friendly relations between our peoples." More laughter came from the alien ships. The voice spoke again with even more mockery. "Primitive kinetic weapons platforms. Look how small they are. Our escort fighters are larger than their biggest ship." Bennett worked quickly at her station, analyzing the alien vessels. "Captain, their technology is completely different from ours. They use some kind of energy-based propulsion and weapons. Their hulls are made from materials I cannot identify." The alien voice continued. "I am War Commander Vexthul of the Zephyrian Confederation. Your pathetic ships cannot threaten us. We have conquered 100 worlds with vessels like these." One of the alien ships moved closer to the Liberty. It was so large it blocked out the stars behind it. Morrison could see weapon ports opening along its hull. Blue energy began to glow from within the openings. "Your species will surrender all colonies in the outer rim systems," Vexthul announced. "You have 72 hours to comply. If you refuse, we will destroy your worlds and take them by force." Morrison felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "We cannot make that decision. Such matters must be discussed with our government on Earth." "Then go discuss," the alien commander said with amusement. "Run back to your homeworld, little humans. Tell them the Confederation has come. Tell them their toys cannot protect them from our power." The alien ships began to move again, forming a threatening circle around the human vessels. Morrison realized they were completely outgunned and outnumbered. Each Zephyrian ship could probably destroy his entire fleet without effort. "Captain, they have weapons locked on us," Richardson reported from her station. "Multiple targeting beams. We cannot match their firepower." Morrison made a difficult decision. "All ships prepare to withdraw. Set course for Titan Station. Maximum speed." "Sir, are we retreating?" Bennett asked quietly. "We are surviving," Morrison replied. "Danny, send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we have made contact with a hostile alien force. Include all sensor data and recordings." The human ships turned away from the alien fleet and activated their engines. As they accelerated toward the inner system, more laughter followed them through space. Vexthul's voice echoed mockingly behind them. "Run, little humans. Run back to your nests. We will come for you soon. Your weak ships cannot hide from the Confederation forever." Morrison watched the alien vessels grow smaller on the rear screen. The Zephyrians did not follow immediately. They seemed content to let the humans flee while they planned their next move. This gave Morrison time to think and plan. "Message sent to Earth Command, sir," Martinez reported. "High priority encryption. They will receive it in 6 hours." "Good work, Danny," Morrison said. He looked at his crew and saw determination in their faces despite the danger. "Lisa, continue scanning their ships. Learn everything you can about their technology. Amy, check our weapons and defenses. Pete, make sure our engines are running perfectly. As the Liberty and her sister ships raced toward safety, Morrison thought about what had just happened. The aliens saw humans as weak and primitive. They mocked human technology and ships. But Morrison knew something the Zephyrians did not know. Humanity had survived wars and disasters for thousands of years. They had learned to be tough and resourceful. The aliens might be surprised by what humans could do when threatened. The stars ahead looked cold and distant as the small human fleet fled toward home. Behind them, the Zephyrian Confederation prepared for conquest. Neither side fully understood what was about to happen next.